Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. And we're going to look at the market watch, so what the stocks are doing, stocks we're paying attention to today, and of course, national and local stories you need to know around the business world. And I guess it's kind of business, but this literally just popped up on my feed. I hadn't seen it before. At the time of that heist of the $102 million in jewels from the Louvre, right? The museum there over in Paris, in France. The password to the video surveillance system for the museum was apparently Louvre. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't make your password 123. That's just all I'm going to say on that. So that just hit me there. It kind of made me giggle here as we're going into the show, and you know things that aren't making me giggle out there. Well, let's start in with Market Watch. Yeah, we had a sell off 2 days ago. We got a rebound yesterday, and the AI kind of confidence came back yesterday in terms of the AI stocks. Well, they started declining again today, specifically the AI stocks out there, which is leading to the NASDAQ being down 1.55% right now. The Dow Jones, well, it's down to 486 points, as you see there, about 1% down, 46,861 for the Dow Jones. The S&P down 1.12%. Well, that makes it 75% down to 67.24 right now for it. And as I said, NASDAQ down big, 1.57%. Obviously, tech heavy with a lot of those AI stocks in the NASDAQ. 367 points down for it, 23,131 for the NASDAQ. Then you got that small cap index. Nothing is escaping this today. 45 points down, 24.23 for the Russell 2K, and then Bitcoin. Even then, coming backwards again, about 2,400, 24 and a half right now. Points down. Well, it's 101,413 for Bitcoin again today. And if this keeps going, Bitcoin's going to fall below that 100,000 level, which it did the other day for the first time since June as well. So this is all predicated, not surprising enough, the government shutdown isn't affecting the markets at all. The tariff conversation in front of the Supreme Court yesterday kind of affected the stock market. Investors were given a little bit of hope that tariffs would go away if they're deemed illegal. Obviously, would help investment stocks, right? Quantities, dollar amounts, revenue of businesses. So that's why the market's invested into that stuff. But overall, a sell off happening right now here today. Stocks we're paying attention to right now. Well, Bright House Financial is going to be the first stock we're looking at. 26.80% up here today, despite the sell off. Well, that's because Bright House Financial announced it's going to be bought by a company called Aquarian Capital for $70 per share in cash. As you can see, that's even a premium right now. It's only at $65 per share. So it's a premium here, even at this amount with this run up today of this 26% up right now as well. That basically at $70 per share in cash, that makes the valuation about $4.1 billion for Bright House Financial. And that deal's expected to close in 2026 coming up here. And then we go on to Golden Entertainment as well. Just a casino operator. The one, look, they have casinos in Pahrump, Nevada. They have casinos Laughlin, Nevada. They have casinos Reno. The big one that you probably know from Vegas side, they have the Strat up there. Golden Entertainment does 34.95% up here today. Believe it or not, folks, it's down a little bit from what it was earlier today. 34.95% right now. Well, they're saying they're going to be acquired by Blake Sartini. He's coming in at $30 per share to buy Golden Entertainment. You can see also a little premium here, even with this 34% run up at $28.65 for the stock right now. So basically comes out to a 41% premium from yesterday's close. It's still a premium right now as well. The deal is expected to close about halfway through next year. Golden Entertainment. And they have a lot of restaurants and things also. 40-something restaurants under their wing as well. So Golden Entertainment being purchased also. And then you got Marriott Vacations Worldwide out there. Well, this is a down stock here today. It's down big, 23.07% right now. They lowered its full year adjusted guidance Marriott Vacations sees earnings ranging between 740 and 755 million dollars. Before they had it in the 750 to 780 million range, so a big drop there for Marriott International, and their stock's down this 23.15% right now. When we come back later on and do another market watch before we log out for the day, well, we're going to look at Qualcomm Snap. Yeah, that social media site Snap there as well. And then Papa John's International. Oh, they've been looking for a buyer out there. They thought they had one. We'll talk about that and what that stock is doing today as well. And but first, right, with the government shutdown, well, that means we're not getting any economic reports. We got that CPI 2 weeks ago, but now we have to rely on these private ones. We talked about the ADP report yesterday, and now Challenger Gray and Christmas. They came out with their report as well in terms of job cuts out there. And these numbers are for October, obviously last month. Job cuts for the month of October, well, they were not good. They were basically totaling 153,074 job cuts total. That's a 183% increase from September, 175% higher than the same month a year ago. Those are big numbers there in terms of the job cuts. It was the highest level for any October since 2003. And this has been the worst year for announced layoffs since 2009. Right? A lot of big companies doing layoffs, right? Meta, Google, all the tech companies were doing it. We're seeing it go into other industries here lately as well, at least on the corporate office side of things. So this Challenger Gray and Christmas report gives a glimpse into the labor market, which we just don't have with any other releases here from the federal government side. So this report specifically, these monthly numbers can be very volatile, and compared to the government report side of things. And there's an accelerated pace of layoffs, as we know, and it's even there. It's not yet to show up in state level weekly jobless claim filings, but these private ones have them a little bit earlier when they do their reporting as well. So, we told you yesterday, ADP reported that October saw net job growth of 42,000. That yesterday on that report, it reversed 2 consecutive months of losses in the private sector. And then this report comes on saying 185% increase in job cuts this year as well. So Challenger, Gray, and Christmas here, they're reporting that the highest level of layoffs coming from the technology sector, which shouldn't surprise anybody. The big tech guys are laying off people. One, trying to get leaner, right? We've talked about that with Amazon, trying to get leaner. And then we talked about just AI taking over a lot of that business as well. And a lot of the technology companies are restructuring because of that AI integration into their businesses. So the companies in the technology sector, well, they announced 33,281 cuts. That's 6 times the level that they announced in September in terms of those job cuts. Other industries that are kind of feeling it, consumer products, they saw a gain of 3,409. Nonprofits, that area gets hit by the shutdown because they don't get that government funding. Well, they were at 27,651 cuts year to date. Yeah, that's up 419% from the same point in 2024. It's a huge growth there in nonprofits. So companies have announced 1.1 million cuts this year. That's a 65% increase from last year, a year ago. It's the highest level since the COVID pandemic year of 2020. October saw the highest total for any month in the fourth quarter since 2008. So at least in this private report here from Challenger, Gray, and Christmas, huge job cut numbers here and triple-digit percentage increases on these numbers. So ADP gave some confidence back into the market that the economy wasn't as bad as people were thinking. Obviously, this report's going to put a lot of that doubt back into the economy as well, while we just wait for these government reports to come out here with this government shutdown. And look, the government shutdown is officially the longest one of all time. You're seeing all the arguments on who's at fault, et cetera, et cetera. One thing we know for sure, right? We talked about the Head Start programs, how a lot of those Head Start programs are shuttering. We always talk about the for air traffic controllers, TSA working, even though they're not getting paid out there. Well, yesterday, not a shocker, but they're trying to get ahead of bigger issues coming up. The FAA came out and said they will reduce air traffic by 10% across 40 high volume markets. They want to do that to maintain safety amid this government shutdown and the air traffic control staffing shortages that were here before the government shutdown, and they're getting worse as people are calling in sick because they're not making money and working a lot of hours. Air traffic controllers work 6 days a week minimum and long hours, and they pretty much demand commanded overtime for them as well, and they're not getting paid for that right now. So a source went out there and told Fox Business the reductions will start at 4% on Friday. They'll gradually ramp up to 10% next week in those big markets, and then they'll stay at that. They'll stay at those levels until the FAA feels comfortable with safety levels for these flights. The move could eliminate thousands of flights each day for as long as the shutdown does continue. Air traffic controllers, as we told you, have been working without pay since the shutdown began over a month ago. And as I said, I'm shocked at the hours these air traffic controllers work, right? Mandatory overtime, 6-day weeks minimum for them already before the government shutdown took their paychecks from them as well. And we're seeing more and more of them call out of work because of the financial strain. They either have to go find work, side jobs, etc. And we're starting to see these flight delays at major airports over the last couple of weeks as well. So the airlines for themselves with this news, United, Southwest, American Airlines, they said they'll work to reduce the impact on passengers as schedules are trimmed. United said they're going to focus on non or more regional flights, the smaller flights out than the ones out of their hub areas. American said that they would notify people and watch it on what flights are going to be cut each day. And then Southwest just said they're monitoring it. We're monitoring it. That's all I could find on Southwest and Fox Business. CNBC had some follow-ups to that as well, and all of them were just like Southwest. We're monitoring it. We're going to pay attention to it. This government shutdown is starting to get nasty as we're a month into it. And we'll have to see if somebody eventually starts caving as the pressure gets put on them, because they're hurting not just the economy but people's lives, etc. out there. And, other things are happening around the government without the shutdown. And, they're negotiating Medicare, Medicaid, this Trump RX system where you get cheaper drug prescriptions through the government website. And now we find out that Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, well, they're expected to announce deals with the Trump administration to cut prices of their very and wildly popular and very expensive weight loss drugs. These are those GLP-1 drugs. They're going to do that in exchange for Medicare coverage. The White House actually is the source on this. They told Reuters earlier this week, patients in the U.S. currently pay the most for prescription medicines. Why Trump has been hounding the prescription side of businesses with tariffs, getting them to come back here to America to manufacture. And Americans pay about 3 times more than any other of the developed nations out there in the world. President Trump has been pressuring those drug makers to lower their prices to what basically they want. President Trump wants us to pay here what people pay in other countries as well. Interesting enough here, Endpoint News came out with the story, and they reported that Lilly and Novo would offer the lowest dose of the weight loss drugs at $149 per month. So in return for that low price, the drugs would gain coverage under Medicare, which, obviously a lot more people in Medicare, because that's anybody 65 and older. If you have disabilities, you fall underneath that category. And that's a whole new level of getting your product out to people in terms of money reimbursement from the government if you get on that list as well. So we're waiting on the official pricing with this deal. I saw another report that came from that source, right? I saw another report that said they were only going to offer for $50 cheaper, so it's in the $200 range per month than they have on their individual sites that we talked about earlier. So we'll have to wait for the official pricing with this deal, but looks like they're kind of getting that pricing down here and make it more available for people, that diabetes and weight loss drugs for everybody out there. And they found this story pretty interesting, right? I go to a lot of movies, and you have the movie rating scale, right? PG, PG-13, R, etc. Well, the Motion Picture Association wants to protect those ratings out there, and they actually went to Meta and they asked them to stop referring to content shown on teen accounts on Instagram as, quote, guided by PG 13 ratings, is how Meta says it. And the MPAA wants them to stop using that phrase. MPAA says that this is misleading and it could actually erode trust in its movie rating system. So, a lawyer on behalf of the MPAA sent Meta Platforms a cease and desist letter asking them to immediately and permanently disassociate its teen accounts and AI tools from the MPA's rating system. Instagram had announced last month, if you don't remember, that its teen accounts will be restricted to seeing PG 13 content by default. The Motion Picture Association of America, it runs the film rating system that was established 50 plus years ago, right? We've known it our whole lives for the most part. They said at the time that it was not contacted by Meta prior to its announcement of using that system. And the MPAs does say Meta's claim that teen accounts will be guided by PG 13. That's what, instead of just saying PG 13 levels out there. And they also said that its teen account content settings are generally aligned with movie ratings for ages 13 plus. Meta says that anything saying otherwise is false and highly misleading. The association's movie ratings, as I said, I forgot about the G in there as well, right? And there's an NC-17. Well, they're done by parents who watch entire movies and evaluate them to come up with the ratings on the movies. So it's not arbitrarily done. And that's what I don't think a lot of people know. When you see a movie rated R, it's because parents on the rating system watch the movie, do a little vote on it, and that's how they get their ratings out there. And there's a standard as well on there. And nobody's doing that for Meta, I think, is the argument here from the Motion Picture Association out there. Meta said that it did update its teen content policies to be closer to PG 13 movie standards, as that's why they're comfortable using it. And they want to use that PG 13 movie standard because parents already know those MPA standards, right? That's the big argument happening there. It's fascinating how that becomes a thing, right? When you're just trying to do trying to do the right thing on kids, and get kind of gnarled up into this, I suppose. But somebody else wants to protect that rating system. And if you have kids out there, they love playing Fortnite. They're lamented in an argument. I know you can still play it. You got to jump through some hoops. But Epic Games has been fighting Apple and Google for a lot of years now, about 5 years or so. And, we have a settlement, at least with one of those groups. And Epic Games has reached what they're calling a comprehensive settlement with Google. So this is leading towards the end of that 5-year legal battle, targeting Google's Play Store for the Android apps. Apple and Google revealed the settlement agreement in a joint legal document that they filed together on Tuesday of this week. They both said that it would, quote, allow the parties to put their disputes aside while making Android a more vibrant and competitive platform for users and developers. Epic, this is a wildly successful game as well that doesn't want to pay the fees to Google or Apple that the store has. A lot of people buy a lot of a lot of game stuff through those stores, and then Apple and Google want a cut of that. Fortnite said, no, 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 have led this legal charge, and not just here, but in the European Union as well. But Fortnite or Epic back then, they won that victory over the summer. That's when that federal appeals court did upheld a jury verdict, which basically said Google's Android App Store is an illegal monopoly. So that was a unanimous ruling there in the appeals court, and it cleared the way for a federal judge to enforce a potentially disruptive shakeup that's designed to give consumers more choices. Google took another hit in October, just a couple weeks ago, when the U.S. Supreme Court actually refused to protect it from the judge's required App Store makeover. The specific terms of the settlement agreement, well, we don't know it. It's under seal there. It has to be approved still by the judge there. But the two companies, well, they outlined some of their agreements in their joint filing, so we know some of the agreement, right? They said that the settlement closely follows the judge's October of 2024 ruling that did order Google to tear down the digital walls, shielding its Android App Store from competition. which is the big argument, right? And that's where we are headed. Apple and Google would have to open up their app store to third-party sites, to app stores. So that includes the provision that will require its app store to distribute rival third-party app stores so consumers can download them for their phones. If you wanted to do it, right? You have to make it more easily to do that stuff instead of having that priority out there. So we'll have to see what happens with Apple in this case, but at least Google and Epic. And this leads to other things. Spotify is another one that famously does not have their app in any of the Apple store, in the Apple or Google store. They don't want people paying the fees, or they don't want to pay the fees to those two sites. You have to go outside the store. So this is going to affect big named uh, companies out there, and they don't want to break it up because it's instant money for basically doing nothing on those stores out there on those app stores. So when we come back here, McCollum on Business, we keep it running. We're going to get into some local stories. Arizona autism, they're making some structural changes out there. A couple other local stories that you need to know, including an update on that BNSF railway up there in Whitman, Arizona. Do we have some finality to it? Or is it just another step along the process? I'll fill you in on that as well. We'll come back. Qualcomm, Snap, Papa John's International stocks, and so much more. Come on back, folks. McCollum on Business. And we're back here, McCollum on Business. You just saw the commercial there for the Real Matrix. The Angry Patriot takes you through the world of the government and things of that effect. And that is available right now on demand at Robat TV. There are 7 episodes up. And, of course, also up on our YouTube page of the shows that we produce here. And then a free podcast system as well, the Real Matrix. If you do that search on any of your favorite podcasting systems, that'll come right up for you. Every Wednesday at noon, a new episode comes up for you, and we're 7 episodes in, up available now. Of course, we got the main event in the can for today. Scottsdale Christian Academy head coach Mike Sheehan joined us earlier today. Normally he's on Wednesday. He had to come in on Thursday this week. Of course, they have a big playoff matchup here coming up this weekend against Morenci at home. Friday night, we delve into that, how their week is gone. Check that out on the YouTube page for the interview section. Check it out also on demand here, Robat TV, the YouTube page, free podcasting systems as well. That's TME Sports Show is where you can find that one. This show, as soon as we are done here, we'll get this posted on demand at Robat TV on the YouTube page as well for you. No podcast system for this show out there as of yet. The pit stop, the season's over for NASCAR. It's all available up there on the YouTube page. Season gets underway in February. Follow me there at the Pit Stop Talk on social media, and we'll keep you entertained with all the comings and goings. The next big thing for NASCAR is this lawsuit between 2311 and Front Row Motorsports coming up in early December. Follow me on the social medias. We'll do some emergency shows when big news breaks and everything. So stay tuned to us there, but on demand on our YouTube page, free podcast systems as well at the Pit Stop Talk, social media at the Pit Stop Talk, and of course here at Robat TV. And with all that being said, well, let's get into that market watch. Everything is still down. It's not going to get better today. It's kind of like, let's see what happens tomorrow at this point, right? Yeah, Dow Jones is still down the 442 points. It is getting better. It's only down in the 0.94% right now. The S&P 500 is down to 68 points. The Nasdaq's down 422 points right now. The small cap index, right, Russell 2K, it's down 40 points as of now. And then Bitcoin, still in that 101,000 range, 101,359. It's down about 2,500 points here today. But again, trading low 100,000 levels for Bitcoin as we go through that. Stocks we are paying attention to right now. First up, Qualcomm. So Qualcomm, well, yeah, down 3.97% right now. They expect to lose Apple as a customer for its modem business, in the coming years. They announced this, and this is a potential warning opportunity. And this warning, it has overshadowed Qualcomm's fiscal fourth quarter earnings and revenue beat, and they had a very strong current quarter forecast. The news that they could be losing Apple coming up, obviously, as Apple's a large customer, and that's a big news here for Qualcomm. That's why they are down the 3.92% today. And then social media platform, Snap. You guys know Snap. Everything deletes. Kids hide stuff from you. You guys know what I'm talking about. You hide stuff from your wife. You hide stuff from your girlfriend. You hide stuff from your wife and your girlfriend. Am I right? Yeah. Well, Snap out there. They've unveiled a $500 million buyback program, and then they issued strong fourth quarter revenue guidance as well. The big news, though, for Snap, so that's good news for Snap. 10.34% up right now. But then they also said Perplexity AI will pay $400 million to integrate the AI startup search capabilities into Snapchat. That's the big news here today, that Snap and Perplexity, $400 million deal. So we're going to start getting AI into Snapchat as well coming up here. 10.21% up for Snap here today. And then finally, Papa John's. It's lunchtime. Let's talk a little pizza, eh? 4.12% up for Papa John's here today. They were down earlier today. They were down yesterday as well. They're getting a little bit of a rebound today. I mean, that's a roller coaster ride chart that you see on your screen right now. They posted third quarter earnings, and they missed big across it. Pizza Hut's looking to be so they're looking what to do with pizza. We had that story with Yum Brands earlier this week as well. Now Papa John's, the only take-home delivery or delivery pizza place that's having success right now, or one of the only ones, is Domino's in this competitive field out there. Papa John's in the last quarter earned 32 cents per share. The expectation was 41 cents per share. They only came in with $508.2 million of revenue. The expectation was $523.8 million in revenue. They missed big. Papa John's is up right now 3.88% as it's got a comeback here today. But earlier today, it was down almost about 3% earlier. So that's the swing that it's been on. But this stock is down about 19% this week. If you factor in the 3.5% right now, we're looking at around 16% that it is down this week alone as well. Papa John's has struggled this week, and we didn't talk about it earlier in the week. We'll bring it up now. But on Tuesday, Reuters reported that the Apollo Group, this is a big deal here for Papa John's as well, that Apollo Global Group, that investors that buy companies, they had actually withdrawn its offer to take Papa John's private. So big interest there, and that's why Papa John's has struggled this week in the stock market. Getting a little bit of a rebound here today. But it has been a struggling stock here lately mainly earlier because of the Apollo Global withdrawing that offer and then the bad miss here in their quarterly results for Papa John's. So one of those stocks, Pizza Hut's in trouble. They might not be part of Yum Browns anymore very much longer. We have to wait for those results. just Domino's is the one dominating in this field right now in terms of those types of take home or delivery pizza companies. I know there's some other ones doing well, but I'm talking specifically about the big ones for delivery, etc., out there that we're looking at. And now let's get into some local stories to get you updated. Arizona Autism. If you don't know what they do, they're a company that offers pediatric therapy and caregiving services to Arizonans with developmental disabilities. It's a big company here in the Valley, but they've announced nearly 2,800 employee layoff within their organization. The company's CEO says he wants those employees to actually remain with the organization, but he wants them as contract workers as opposed to just being employees on that side. To me, what this looks like, somebody wants to save on payroll taxes and those expenses that you have to deal with. Right? It's interesting. KJazz went out there and they found an unlisted YouTube video where Arizona Autism co owner came out and said that the organization is restructuring in response to potential changes by the State Division of Developmental Disabilities. If you don't know, there was a law passed earlier this year that requires the division to implement a new assessment tool. Though its implementation is ongoing, it could upend services for many Arizona families by that law passing as these companies are adjusting to that and making people contract workers instead of employees moving forward. Furthermore, in that video that is unlisted on YouTube that KJazz found, well, they say in January, all of the caregivers that provide home and community based services will be transitioned to that contract work, which makes it easier to fire them. If they mess up, you're not technically responsible for it, and then you save on the financial side of things. I might be a little too harsh on this company, but fine. If that's the case, somebody correct me. But it just seems a little shady what this company's doing for some of our most vulnerable citizens here in Arizona. And we'll have to keep our eyes on how this continues to move forward here with Arizona Autism and everything. And then, well, maybe sometimes, let's just put it this way, sometimes public pressure makes people do what the public wants, right? The Maricopa County Board of Superiors or Supervisors, excuse me, they came out late yesterday. They unanimously rejected, folks, that land use proposal near Whitman for that BNSF railway. A lot of homeowners fighting this, a lot of surprises fighting it, and now they've rejected that land bid. The company says the move won't prevent a freight facility from being built up there. BNSF does plan to build, if you don't know, that 4,300-acre freight rail facility up there outside of Whitman. The company's request was for the board to change the land use designation for some of its property from single-family, rural, to mixed-use employment stuff in terms of the designation for that land, some of that land. Supervisor Debbie Lesko, she came out and said her big worry on the project is the same one shared by many residents and people up in that area. She said specifically the additional traffic that this site is estimated to produce is her big worry. The Grand Avenue and Loop 303 area are already near or at traffic capacity. So she's concerned about that side, the noise. A lot of the residents have been speaking out about this for a while. So it doesn't mean BNSF can't build up there still. It's just they're not getting that code enforcement side of things or the designation of the land change. Some of that land, a lot of it's already been done. So this is a battle not over, but slightly won there by the residents up there in that Whitman area. And then here's a follow-up for you here as we wrap up here at McCollum on Business today. Five Star Development. We've talked about them a lot in terms of lawsuits. Are they ever going to finish that Paradise Valley Ritz-Carlton up there? Five Star Development is based here in Arizona. They have that Ritz-Carlton, Paradise Valley, among other sites here. Well, they voluntarily have filed for Chapter 11 protection. We told you a couple months ago that this is probably heading this way because they're in a fight with a couple of their lenders out there. The filing aims to protect the company's assets and then support its continued progress on that big project up there in the Paradise Valley, Ritz-Carlton area. They also have the Palmery in Paradise Valley is their other area that it falls into this bankruptcy as well. So the bankruptcy is mainly focused on completing the Ritz-Carlton Paradise Valley. The Palmery, which is that 122-acre master planned resort, residential, and luxury retail destination, is what it's that whole area up there if you're familiar with it. Five-star development is in the final phase of development on the Ritz-Carlton. And then the infrastructure is mainly complete. All the substantial stuff is done. But the company there is set to commence on the high end interior finishing as soon as the court approvals are obtained through this bankruptcy filing. This Chapter 11 process does allow Five Star to retain control of the project while protecting the interest of the stakeholders. The automatic stay prevents lenders, which includes the one they've been fighting with at Madison Realty Capital, while they prevents them from collecting debts or even pursuing foreclosure during this restructuring that's happening. There's big battles been going on. We told you about it before with Madison. They're trying to take over the land and basically foreclose on it. And other interesting developments happened over the last month or so. A Texas state court recently found that Madison had actually engaged in, and this is their quote, acts of manipulation and fraud in breach of its duty of good faith and fair dealing towards Five Star. Now, that was kind of the last article we had talked about here, story we had talked about here was how Madison was kind of forcing their ways into foreclosure, kind of hampering Five Star doing their work. They forced them into the foreclosure, and a court agreed that they were acting that way. So now Five Star is protected a little bit with this Chapter 11 filing, and during the restructuring, Five Star Development will continue normal operations across all of its project sites. Residents and homeowners, they'll continue to have access, full service amenities, no interruptions up there. Affiliated businesses will operate it as usual. So anything on the property that operates as a business will continue like normal as well. So two updates to two, let's call them troubled and challenged projects here in the Valley, some big ones there as we go into that. The big story, of course, is flights are being cut back because of this government shutdown. Officially now, the government's putting their foot down on that as well. If you go to CNBC, I'll give them a plug here, cnbc.com. Interesting story on Targets and their kind of Targets turnaround that they're trying to complete right now and how messy their stores are right now. I've noticed that when I've been into Targets, their stores aren't organized like they used to be. Well, there's an article there that's kind of interesting. Target's sloppier stores are wearing on shoppers, and they say its turnaround could hinge on cleaning them up. An interesting story in terms of the retail. That's why I don't shop at Burlington's Coat Factory. I refuse to walk into one because they just have boxes laying on the floor. I don't like it when stores have that stuff done. So interesting article from that perspective on that if you're interested in that stuff as well. And hey, that's why you tune in here to McCollum on Business. We talk about these business stuff, how things are going, overall market conditions, and we'll continue it tomorrow, of course, 11 o'clock. Friday's edition will get you ready for the weekend, folks. Hey, share us with your friends if you would. This is my passion project that I do here. I love the business side of, even on the sports side, I love the business side of sports. So I love talking about it, love bringing it to you. YouTube. Share the YouTube with your friends as well. Robat TV, of course. And we'll see y'all on Friday. Everybody have a great Thursday night.